Hey, what's going on, sports fans? This is Sean with boxingandbasketball.com here with my co-host, Matthew Rayner. What's going on, Matthew?
Well, I had the day off of work, so I was
Oh, you
here.
were off?
I was off. So,
Okay.
usually I say this is my favorite part of the week, but having the day off is going to rank pretty high. So this is I'm still happy to be here, but a little happier to have the day off.
Yeah, and you were off Friday also, right? For Good Friday?
I had a 4-day weekend.
How
Feels
did you luck
good.
up with that?
No,
Oh, man.
we actually got lucky because we're supposed to have last Tuesday off for Cesar Chavez Day, but then as we know, he got in a little trouble. They took away Cesar Chavez Day, then they gave us Easter Monday. And for me, I would rather have a 4-day weekend than some random Tuesday in the middle of the week. So I'll take the 4-day weekend all day.
Okay. Got you.
Uh huh.
All right. So let me switch these out real quick. I always like it better when I'm this way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Matthew. So we're going to get into it. First of all, we want to thank everybody for out there supporting us. We got a lot of good hits this week, Matthew. More people are commenting. More views are taking place on our videos. Man, we're flooding the market, man. We're dropping like 2 and 3 packs a day on these guys, man. And we're going to flood the market. No matter where they turn, you won't see Stephen A. Smith. You won't see ESPN. You want to see Sean and Matthew. Flood the market.
Yes,
That's how you
sir.
do it.
2 a week.
2 a week. All right. So this is what we're going to do, Matthew. Let's start it off. First topic we're going to talk about is Nikola Jokic went 40 points, 13 assists, 8 rebounds with 0 turnovers in overtime Saturday to beat your San Antonio Spurs 136-134 and end their 11-game win streak. He's only the fourth player in NBA history to get 40 plus points, 10 plus assists, 5 plus rebounds with 0 turnovers in a single game, joining Larry Bird, Luca, World Be Free. For those of you who don't know, this guy from the 70s and 80s. He's played for the Sixers, Warriors, played for about 5 or 6 teams. He was out of Brooklyn, actually, I think out of Brownsville. Way back in the day. This when me and you were just pups. You probably weren't even born then. But anyway, Matthew, at what point do we just accept that Joker is doing things that have never been done before?
Hold on, let me write World B Free's name down so I can use him on the immaculate grid sometime this week. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's really amazing to me that Joker Jokic has kind of fallen out of the MVP conversation. It became this point where like a couple weeks ago I was telling you, okay, SGA then Jokic,
Uh huh.
then it became SGA then Wemby, then it became SGA then Wemby, then Luca, then Jokic. And the thing with Jokic, before we get into the game, and I have a lot of thoughts about the
Yep.
game, but you're going to eliminate this guy basically from the MVP competition when his team is pretty bad without him. One, two, he's going to be the first player in history to lead the league in rebounds and assists. The
Uh huh.
first player in history. And that's in addition to what he's giving you points. That's in addition to what he's giving you in leadership. So to think that he's averaging 28 points a game on 57, 38, and 83 isn't the most impressive thing about him. The fact that
Right.
he's leading the team in a big man stat, rebounds, and in a guard stat, assists. I mean, that's crazy. So, I mean, it's a little ridiculous that he's been kind of eliminated from MVP contention. But as far as the game goes, it was I watched the whole game and it was
Yeah.
the
Oh,
whole
I know
game
you watched it.
the whole game felt like, oh, this is a Spurs victory. This is a team building exercise. Oh, we're up by 6. Oh, we're up by 10. Oh, we're up by 6. Oh, we're up by 10. Just bouncing the lead up all the way, everything going according to script. And then the last 5 minutes, the team just falls apart. And you said Jokic had 38 or 40 or however many he had. I don't remember. He had a
Mm-hmm.
lot, but it felt like he might have had 20, 25 going into the fourth. It felt like a lot of them were at the very end when he needed them. And the thing about it is
Well,
that
he outscored the Spurs 16-10 in like the final 14 minutes of the game.
that's what it felt like. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
because I was like, when did he start getting these numbers?
Yeah.
And the way he was getting them was the most impressive because everybody's gonna remember the shot. And let me Let me go full disclosure. Let me go full disclosure because I
All
was working a boxing match Saturday night, so I held on as long as I could, watching the game as long as I could. So I was already late,
right.
and I watched it till the end of regulation. Then I listened to OT on the radio broadcast. So I saw that crazy fade away later. I
Oh
just
yeah.
I heard about it, but that is one of the
Uh-huh.
best shots you'll ever see.
Yeah.
But so many of his shots down the stretch were going right at Wemby.
Yes.
Big bodying Wemby,
Uh-huh.
and then hitting his little baby hook and letting him know, like, hey, young man, you might be the next
Yeah.
guy, but I'm still
Right
him.
now.
I'm
Yep,
still
right
him right now. And the way now we're gonna see, because I think they got the Nuggets again here in a couple days, and it's gonna be a good barometer of where the Spurs are headed in the playoffs. But Jokic really made a statement by getting some of those buckets down the stretch, going right in Victor's face.
Yeah, and look, what makes this line even wilder, Matthew, is he was playing against the league's like best defense right now, right? In overtime. Well, like I say, he personally outscored the Spurs like 16-10 in like the final 14 minutes. And the zero turnovers piece is what separates it from just being a great game. And most 40-point games involve gambling on your numbers, right? But Joker was surgical. His assist to turnover ratio this season is already historic, right? And games like this are why advanced models, and when you see all the stats and numbers that they be throwing together and all that, is the reason it keeps spitting out his name as the most valuable player alive, even when the narrative or the media just tries to go in a different direction.
Mm-hmm. No, that's absolutely right. And it's amazing to me that he's not considered a more serious MVP candidate. 40, 13, and 8 against the Spurs. The Spurs, who have been whooping everybody, putting BTA to everybody. Yeah. And here comes the Nuggets, and here comes Jokic, down the stretch, just going straight at Wemby. And he wasn't getting a lot from his team. That's one thing I noticed watching the game. And I know I'm always harping on this point about how I think they could have used Russ this year and how that would have been mutually beneficial. But besides like some really good backup big minutes from Jonas Valanciunas, I noticed how little they were getting from the bench. Then just even some of your young star, you hope future contributors, someone like Christian Brown, who, they've developed really smartly. Even him, he was so streaky during the game, so make or miss, that besides Jamal Murray, it felt like Jokic really had nobody to rely on. I mean, he could rely on Aaron Gordon, but Aaron Gordon's not known to like go out and give you 20, 25 on any given night. But it felt like most of those guys that were 3 and D, I'm not going to speak on, they weren't 3. They certainly weren't 3 the other night because they were missing so many. The bench was giving you nothing. And in that moment, Jokic said, I'm going to put the team on my back, the whole team on my shoulders. I'm going straight at the defensive player of the year. Well, I mean, that's a prediction. I think Wemby will be defensive player of the year. And then just to end the game, basically, to put the dagger in on that highlight, fadeaway, looping shot over the outstretched arms of Wembanyama. I mean, put that on his trading card next year, man. That was incredible.
Right. And you know what? Because when he made that shot, right, and when Wemby turned around and looked, it was almost like he was deflated. Like how did this guy even make this shot like this? Number one, I got my wingspan stretched out. It's like, and when Joker make those shots, right, dude, it's like a fadeaway, high arc, throw it up, and I don't know how it goes in, Matthew. He's done that a few times that people are like, this is unbelievable. It's like, were you even looking at the basket when you shot this?
He probably wasn't. I mean, that play he might have been, but I've seen him do that a lot. I've seen him do that from 3-pointer. Turned away from the basket, fade away, hit the 3, and then it's what the word you used was deflated, and that's exactly it. Because if you're Wemby, you're saying I played great defense. You're saying I'm 7'5" with an 8'1" wingspan, or I think 8'1" wingspan. Well, anyway, a very good wingspan, and for him to make a shot like that. That's why he is who he is in the league, because he can give you that late in the game. Even though the Nuggets were getting dominated most of the game, not thoroughly dominated, but it hovered from about 6 points to 12 points, basically for the entirety of the game. And for Jokic just to say, I'm going to put the team on my back, forget all this other stuff. I mean, it's It was pretty incredible. And maybe, I don't think it got him back in the MVP conversation, but maybe narrowed the gap a little bit.
Right, right, right. Okay, cool. All right, so Matthew, moving on to topic number 2. Detroit finally clinched the East top seed Saturday night with a win over Philly, the first number 1 seed since the Chauncey Billups era in 2007. Now they're 57-21 with home court advantage throughout the whole East playoffs, and they did most of it without Cade Cunningham. So Matthew, does this Pistons team actually have a path to the finals, or does everything depend on Cade coming back like healthy?
Yeah, I have a hard time thinking they have a path to the finals, especially without Cade Cunningham. I mean, look, you have everybody stepping up, you have being stars in their roles, but I mean, they're doing it by committee. They had
Mm-hmm.
7 players in double digits the other night against Philly when they clinched that spot, but
Uh-huh.
nobody, no, like one star. And I think come the end of games,
Uh-huh.
you want to have that one guy. And I know Cade's not necessarily like a shoot it every time point guard, but he's a make the right play kind of point guard. So even if he's not scared to shoot it, but if he has to pass out and get an open man for 3 or an open man at the rim, he's going to do it. And when you have this committee thing, I mean, it reminds me of Doug Collins his last year coaching with the Sixers when they had Iguodala and Drew Holiday and Evan Thomas, and they had, if the name of the game was to have as many players averaging 14.8 points a game, then the Sixers would have won the championship in 4 games that year, because they had a true offense by committee. But it's so hard when you have the committee thing. I mean, the Hawks a few years ago with Corver and Millsap and Teague were a version of that as well. When you have the committee thing and nobody that's going to say, I'm going to go make this play, I'm going to get this shot, it's very hard. So yeah, they can make a run, but it's about Cade coming back, but it's also about this. The Celtics look very good right now, and it seems like they're finding a way. I've predicted it may be difficult for Brown and Tatum to come together and say who's the 1A, who's the 1B. Right now it doesn't matter because it looks like they're beating everybody they're playing. Brown's getting his numbers, Tatum's getting his numbers, Brown's getting his shots, Tatum's getting his shots. And what I love about like Tatum, we talked about it the other day when he had the triple-double, even though Brown scored more points than him. I mean, even the other day when they beat the Raptors, another playoff team, Tatum leads the team in rebounding. And last week we were having the same conversation about, I think he had 18 rebounds in a game last week. This game, he had 13 rebounds. He also led the team in assists. So instead of sitting around sulking, saying, why is Jalen getting all my shots? Jason Tatum is finding ways to contribute in every way of the basketball court. So
and scoring at that, right? And there's no egos, right? And I think that's what's really helping them, Matthew. Like you pointed out, there's no egos when it comes to it. If I'm in control and I'm hot, I'm going for it. You're in control, I'm hot. And they feed off each other, man. So I'm glad there's no egos. And that's why I think, like you just mentioned, why they're doing so well.
Exactly. And so I would say for the Pistons, it'll come down to, based off that, it'll come down to 2 things. One, do you get Cade back? Because if you don't, then you might as well just, you got to start accepting you're not going to win it if Cade's not coming back. But if he does come back, he's good enough, I think, to pretty seamlessly get himself involved back in the offense. But 2, are the Celtics going to keep playing like this, or even scarier, are they going to get any better? So it's going to depend on the Pistons' health, and it's going to depend on the Celtics, because even if the Pistons were healthy, I don't know that they'd be favored against this version of the Celtics.
Yeah, because I was going to talk about that a little bit, right? So the number that tells the whole story is their defensive rating with and without Cade, right? So Detroit was actually better defensively in stretches without him because, as your boy Jenkins, Denise, is that you right? Right, Denise Jenkins, right? He plays at a faster pace, and Sir Thompson, he just won Defensive Player of the Month. You remember we talked about that the other day. The concern isn't the first round, right? Is that the half-court offense in a 7-game series against Boston or New York gets exposed without Cade running the pick and roll. So that's the playoff test that tells us whether there's this real contender or a very good regular season team.
My man, Danish Jenkins, we were making fun of him. When K got injured, I was looking at his numbers and saying, this guy's only averaging 4 points a game. And look at him, up to 9, 5, and 4. So
Yeah,
shout
he
out
didn't have
Danish Jenkins.
opportunity before, right? He
No,
had to take that back seat role.
that's a really tough thing for you, especially if you have the talent, but you're the backup to the star player, because you just don't know what you have. Because even if you're hot, you're only getting 12 minutes a night. Because I mean, you remember different backup point guards. I remember when Cameron Payne was the backup to Prime Westbrook. Cameron Payne barely ever played. And then when he got an opportunity, he was a contributor on a championship team like the Suns. I don't know if I'd say he went off, but he became like a real solid veteran NBA player. And if you saw him in OKC backing up Russ, you'd say, man, this guy's never going to play more than 6 minutes a game. So, shout out to Jenkins for getting your opportunity and running with it. Big double-double the other day, 16 points, 14 assists.
Bruh, you know what kind of net numbers that is right there? That's crazy.
That's pretty good. And he was a plus 25 on the night, finding ways to impact the basketball game.
Plus 25, yep.
And 14 assists, only 1 turnover. Shout out Mr. Jenkins. So they're not losing any playmaking when they got him out there, but you'd rather have Cade because the defenses are going to respect Cade a little more than Mr. Jenkins.
Right. Okay. All right, moving on to topic number 3, Matthew. Cooper Flagg. We can't stop talking about this young kid, right? He scored 45 points Saturday to lead Dallas past the Lakers 134 to 128, right? Snapping the Mavs 14-game home losing streak. That's his record-breaking third 40-point game as a teenager, more than any other player in the NBA history right now. So, Matthew, after watching Flagg this season, is he going to be as good as advertised or even better? Like, we're not even seeing the best of him yet, right?
Well, that's absolutely right, because they always, always, always get better in their second year. The ones that are like generational talents, like their shooting splits go way up, always in that second year. I mean, whether you look at LeBron or Carmelo or even KD, who came in the league a good shooter, but if you look at these great players and you look at their shooting numbers their first year, whether they were the man or not, or like whether they got their touches or not, or got their points or not, you'll find that they hover in the low 40s and the general shooting, and then in the 3-point, it's like the high 20s or the low 30s.
Right.
Cooper Flagg, his 3-pointer has not been there. Everything else has been there,
right.
And he can get to the rim basically at will at this point. I mean, he's shooting 47% from the field, which is great for a rookie, only shooting 29 from 3, which I think, with more touches, that goes up. Especially the one thing they say to judge if somebody is actually a good shooter and maybe just taking poor shots because they're a rookie is their free throw percentage. And he's shooting 82% from the free throw line. So I think he's not a bad shooter. It's just, when you're rookie, sometimes you take some bad shots. The selection's not great. You get some of the rookie nerves that you don't get as you're in your second, third, fourth, fifth year. Right. So I definitely expect the 3-point percentage to shoot up. Now, here's what I want to talk about, though, because here's what I'm worried about. Because, my favorite in the rookie of the year race is Con Knipple, because he's setting all kinds of rookie records, and he's on the team that's going to be in the playoffs, where the Mavericks are on a team. Cooper Flagg is on the Mavericks, a team that is a lottery team. But when you look at Cooper Flagg, let's pull up his last 5 games, 45, 51, 19, 12, 24. But to have 45 and a 51, and again, those numbers on 19 to 30 and 14 to 27. So, just really dominating from every area of the field, even from 3-point in those games. Then Knipple having some of his worst games of the year, including the other day in a win against the Timberwolves, 4 of 14 from the field, only 11 points. And also LaMelo and Miles dominated. So that's going to give credence, because sometimes when I see the online chatter, they say, well, Con Knipple's not even the best player on his team, which I find debatable. But if he keeps having games that they're winning, where he's only scoring 10 points, and LaMelo and Brandon Miller and Miles Bridges are going off, then people are going to want to revert and give it to Cooper Flagg, who's dominating now. Different games, they're still losing a lot of games, so it's not like he's dominating night in and night out. He had a 12-point game 3 games
So,
ago.
so Matthew, let me ask you this. So, is it kind of like Denise Jenkins is getting a shine? Because just like how we said with Katie getting hurt, right? Like you
Mhm.
said, he had 16 and 14 the other day, right? Would
Mhm.
would he even be a rookie of the year candidate if Street Clothes Davis wasn't shipped off and Kyrie Irving wasn't hurt? Because I honestly he would have took a back seat to them. I think it was a blessing in disguise. Those guys, that one guy is gone and he's hurt, that he gets to shine and take over the team.
But you know what? When you're the generational prospect, the narrative kind of shifts in your favor, whether it's fair or not. So even if he was the third best player on a team with a healthy Kyrie and a healthy AD, then I think the argument shifts to, oh, well, he's contending and he's being a star in his role. And look at this prospect being a star in his role and being on a contending team. So I think he always, whether you want to play from the winning element or you want to play from the numbers element, he's always going to have an advantage over Con Knipple because of who he is, because he's a huge name, phenom, generational prospect. So I think either way, because right now it feels like maybe it was 50-50 like 4 days ago, but now it feels like with the 51-point game and the 45-point game mixed with some struggles for Knipple, it feels like Flagg's the favorite again. And I do feel that if he was on a contending team, that he would be the favorite as well, because
Yeah.
the deck is certainly stacked in his favor. Because I think in a fair race, I think Knipple wins. That this team has sucked historically for so many years, and they get this great 3-point shooter, and now they're the hottest team
Yeah.
in the league.
All right.
That's
Well,
okay.
all right, let's see
Okay.
it this way, Matthew. So the
Okay.
record angle is impressive, right? But what stands out on film is how little he needs to manufacture those points.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not forcing anything, like you said. He's reading defensively. He's exploiting mismatches. He's finishing through contact at an observed rate as a teenager, right? His free throw attempts per game are actually in the top 15 in the league, which means he's drawing fouls at like almost like an all-star level, right? The one thing holding back the rookie of the year case is Dallas's record. But the individual production is already at a level that most players don't reach until the fourth or fifth year.
Yeah, I mean, he has some nights. He went 5 for 19 the other night. Like, he's not shooting the 3 ball well. He has some weaknesses,
Yeah.
but he's the bona fide leader of his team. And so he's going to get the opportunities. He's going to get the touches because, like the second and third best players on his team are like PJ Washington and, Daniel Gafford and, guys that are like real good role players, but they are role players. So
Right.
he's going to get the opportunity every night to have the spectacular performance in a way that Knipple's just not going to have on a team with Miles Bridges and LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller. 3 other legitimate B-plus players, maybe LaMelo an A- player, but 3 other legitimate, not superstars, but potential stars in the right role.
Right.
And so you can't hold that against Knipple, I think, that he doesn't get the opportunity because his team is contending and wants to win. So the coach has to draw up the strategies in a way that are conducive to winning, where if you're Jason Kidd, you can just draw stuff up to give Cooper Flagg a chance to get his feet wet and do different things in different situations. So it's hard to weigh them against each other, and it's maybe going to get held against Knipple that he's on a winning team that's not just going to give him the ball every play.
Right. Okay, got you. All right, well, Matthew, we're going to move on to topic number 4. Your boy Steph Curry is back. But not only coming back, Matthew, he came off the bench for the first time since March 2012. So that was like 14 years ago. And he still went for 29 points and 5 threes in a 1-point loss to Houston. The Warriors are clinging to the 10th seed right now with 6 games left. So, Matthew, is it too little too late for Golden State, or does Curry come back give them a real shot at sneaking into the play-in?
Well, they're going to be in the play-in for sure, just because the other teams behind them are all tanking. So you got Memphis, you got your Dallas Mavericks, Cooper Flagg, your guys at 25 and 53. Pelicans, you got the Kings, you got the Jazz. So everyone behind the Warriors is tanking. But you're almost guaranteed, looking at the Warriors record, you're almost guaranteed 2 road games in the play-in. So you'd have to beat the 9 seed, the Trailblazers, likely on the road. And the Trailblazers have had moments where they've been pretty good this year. Then you're going to have to play the loser of the Suns and Clippers, also on the road. So the idea that before you even get to the playoffs, you're going to have to play these 2 different teams on the road, including the Clippers. I mean, because maybe you get to the Trailblazers just because, all those guys on the Trailblazers are young. Just seeing Steph Curry on the court in a game in April is going to get them out their wits. Then they're not going to be sharp like when you got the best shooter of all time right across from you, and you're some young rookie playing in your first postseason game, or you're some second-year player playing in your first postseason game, and you don't even have your coach because he's been gone all year because he was gambling. So, I mean, so if you're the Warriors, your best-case scenario is probably getting past the Blazers, but then you play the Clippers on the road at the Intuit Dome, and I don't know, you've seen they got that wall, so they apparently have the big home court advantage. I don't know how much that really works, but I'm sure it'll be as rowdy as it's going to be in a postseason game, in a season where the playoffs were far from guaranteed for the Clippers. So if you're Golden State, I get like letting him come back if he wants to come back, because you certainly don't want a Giannis situation, whatever is going on over there with Milwaukee.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so
he's under investigation or something right now.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, if he wants to play, then by all means, he's your star, he's your stalwart. So by all means, let him play. But I just wouldn't be expecting that much. You've already dug too deep a hole. You have a bunch of players on the roster that us, 2 huge basketball fans, could probably name like 3 or 4 of them if we weren't looking. Your second best player is Draymond, which isn't ideal.
Very much right now,
isn't ideal. Don't know if I'm buying into Podzimski. Pods, I saw a real weird clip of him yesterday. It was the Houston game that they lost, I believe. Yes, they lost by 1 point. And instead of setting the screen, if you see the video now, obviously the video might tell a different story. Like we don't know. What are we doing? We're just pontificating about something we see on a video. We don't know what the actual play is, but it looks like Draymond calls Podzimski to come set a double screen for Steph, and instead Podzimski waits in the corner, like hoping that Steph's going to launch it to him when he gets double teamed, and it looked very weird. It looked like what I'm not a hater, but it looked like what you'd call a low basketball IQ play. And so,
would you take him or DiVincenzo? Even I know he's not there but who would you have kept between the 2?
I think I would take DiVincenzo because I feel like DiVincenzo knows how to be a star in his role. Whereas I don't think Pods knows exactly how to be a star in his role. But he is. Yeah, I'm looking at the players playing next to him. Of course, Butler is injured. We got a bunch of guys that we've never heard of, Sean. You got Gary Payton too, more of a defense guy. And you got Draymond. So if you're the Warriors, I don't see a scenario where your best case scenario is being the 1 seed and getting swept or losing in 5 to OKC, getting that 8 seed.
Yeah, I don't think they should have got rid of Kevon Looney. I think he should have stayed. I think he was great for the team.
Yeah, but I mean, I think he's great. Like if you're a good team that's contending for championships, but I mean, there's nothing Kevon Looney's bringing this season that says, oh, okay, they're going from play-in to championship.
Just an extra big man. They don't really just have that. That's all.
No, sure. I agree with you, but I mean, I think when you're not in win now mode, you're in let's toy around with some things, get some pieces. Because I mean, Porzingis, that could be a really nice piece for them. I mean, the idea of why Porzingis would be good, at least on offense, not on defense, but having like a 7-3 guy that can make the 3 ball, that's the same idea of why somebody like Wemby is crazy good on offense, because it's somebody that in theory could get a basket down low, but could also stretch the court. I mean, there's a reason people forget, because it's been so long. When Porzingis came in the league, they were calling him the unicorn. I mean, he's got a special skill set. And so
he's hurt like 90% of the time. I haven't seen him play 3 games in a row.
No, that is true, and that's the risk. And you've got a bunch of guys like that in Golden State. So the way it is Jimmy Butler's out. They lost
money on that.
Porzingis is going to be out a lot of games, and so right now,
Jimmy Butler was the real blow. That's what really happened. Who
Well,
knows where they'd be at right now? Even with Steph sitting out those 20-something games, if he would have stayed in there. Because listen, look at this. The best decision to me was a smart coaching on Kerr's part. They're managing his minutes coming off a 21-game absence and easing him into the rhythm before the play-in. The real story is his efficiency, Matthew. 29 points in limited minutes means his shot wasn't affected at all by the layoff at all, right? Which is Steph just being Steph. The Warriors are 10-21 without him, 4-2 with him this season. So the math is straightforward. Like if he plays, they win. The question is whether he can get enough games under his belt to be playoff ready if they get there. Because like if Steph Curry is cold in the play-in elimination game, that's a nightmare scenario for the Golden State Warriors.
Now you said the math is simple. When he plays, they win.
They win. Yep.
And yet, this game we're talking about where he scored 29 points, what was the final result of that game?
Oh, it's 1 point. I mean, he lost by 1 point, but he just came back though.
The math isn't so simple anymore.
He was limited. He didn't play a lot.
No, that's right. And you know what? Yeah. It's true that he was their best player, even limited. Even
coming off a 21-game absence. Yeah.
And you know who played the most minutes? Podziemski. And so Podziemski played the most minutes, gave you 18 points. Some guy named Gui Santos, who I guess I'm a fake basketball fan because I'm not too familiar with Mr. Santos.
Italian.
Yeah, I guess, I think it sounds Brazilian. That sounds
Is it Brazilian? Okay. All right.
Hey, I'm gonna click on his name. Brazil picked 55th overall in 2022. Now look, Sean, if you're playing your 55th pick,
that was right. That was like when did he get picked 55th? When?
2022.
Man, that's like LeBron James type pick.
If you're 55th pick from 4 years ago, now you get those random like late picks that bloom and become steals, but usually you've heard of them by now. But if you're playing like your 55th pick that nobody's heard of that was taken 4 years ago, and they're playing 30 minutes, that team maybe isn't built for a playoff run. So I think Steph's going to be Steph. He's going to be great, and I think he'll still be great next year. I think he'll still won't drop off at all. We'll still play like a superstar. But I think they're going to punt on this year. I don't see them moving past the play-in. That's my verdict.
Okay. Let me see something here. All right, listen. I'll go with you, man. We'll see what happens with them. All right, but let's look at this. Let's switch over to topic number 5 real quick. Mm-hmm. Your team, I call it your team, but really San Antonio, but the competitors, right? The OKC, Oklahoma Thunder, put up 146 points against Utah on Sunday night, right? For a new franchise scoring record, winning by 35 points, Matthew. So SGA had 38, Chet Holmgren had 4 blocks, and the second unit outscored Utah starters. OKC is now 62-16 with 6 games left. Matthew, is there any version of these playoffs where the Thunder team doesn't make it to the finals?
Yes. But let me start with, because the answer, you know who I'm going to say. It's going to be their biggest competitor. But let me say this. Let's not forget 146-111, 35-point lead. Let's not forget, though, they were playing against Utah. One of our first shows, we were talking about the Hornets, how they had just won by 60 points against Utah, set new franchise records. And so let's not forget they were playing against Utah. So we could say it's impressive. We could say it's great. And even more good news.
It's still a lot of points to put up, though, man. That's still a lot.
I think the
close to
Hornets
150 points. But still, that's a lot. That's hard. Like, dude, you have to be on fire. Even if you're playing against a weak team, you have to be on fire to get close to 150 points, man.
I think LaMelo and them boys in Charlotte put up more than that. I think they put up nearly 200. No. Now they put up a lot. They put up. I want to say they beat them. They might have beat 147, but no, you're right. It's a lot of points to score. And even better news for them is that with what we talked about the first topic, the Spurs losing to Denver. Mm-hmm. I mean, with only 5 games to go, or what do we got? 78. 4 games for the Thunder, 4 games for the Spurs. the Thunder are now 3 games ahead of the Spurs. So the Spurs still have the tiebreaker, but it's almost for sure OKC being number 1 in the West, because they would have to go 1-3, and the Spurs would have to go 3-1 in the last 4 games for the Spurs to catch up to them. So if you're OKC, you win one more game, which I don't know if they're playing tonight. I'm going to have to pull that up. But you win one more game, and well, not quite one more game. I have it reversed. You can't lose one more. So even if you win tonight, you don't have a club. But if the Spurs, there we go. If the Spurs lose one more game, you got to figure it out. And the Spurs have another tough game against Denver, the team that just snuck up on them and beat them. Although that game
was still close.
It was close, and it was in Denver. They had the whole crowd. They had the energy.
Altitude. Wemby couldn't breathe because of the air and the oxygen. Well, I can't say that. He's as tall as the mountain. He should have been okay.
So let's see them come to San Antonio. Let's see them do it again.
Okay. But are you going to that game?
Come
on, man, get them tickets.
You gonna buy them for me? I can't afford that. I'm gonna be taking that.
Hey, listen, everybody down below, let's send Matthew. You see that Cash App down below, or you see that Zelle? Make sure you donate so we can send Matthew to the game, and he'll get some interviews and some right there courtside interviews for us.
I'm gonna have to take out a second mortgage if I want to go to that game. That's gonna be a pretty penny, but so if you're OKC, you're in the catbird seat. You're in prime position to be at the 1 seed, and that's going to be so important for the Spurs series, because especially now that Luka and Austin Reeves are out for the Lakers, it really looks like that 3rd round is going to be the Spurs and Thunder, the 2 heavyweights, Ali versus Frazier. And if you're the Thunder with one more Spurs loss, you get to be in home court advantage for that. But to answer your initial question that I've spent all this time filibustering around and just yapping without answering your question, I do think there's one team that can contend with them. That's the San Antonio Spurs. Why do I think that? Because the Spurs also have been beating every team they're playing by double digits. The Spurs are 4-1 against the Thunder in the regular season, and the Spurs do have the most unique talent that we've perhaps ever seen in this league in Victor Wembanyama. And all of these guys just play together so well. They get so many dunks. They get so many rim runs. And I know De'Aaron Fox had a terrible game the other day against Denver, but when he's hot, he's one of the better point guards in the league. He knows how to get his teammates involved. He knows how to find Wemby. Stephon Castle reminds me, this is almost blasphemy. Westbrook's my favorite player, but he reminds me so much of a young Westbrook in terms of his athleticism and playmaking. You got solid vets like Harrison Barnes. You got Julian Champagnie, who's been on the team for a couple years, so I guess I never noticed. And now I'm watching. I'm like, this guy cannot miss from 3. And you have the likely 6th man of the year, Keldon Johnson. So you just have have such a complete team, and OKC has such a complete team. So that's a real just like battle of Goliaths. And I think if they can clinch.
I'm trying to remember, is Dylan Harper, is he still out?
No, he's in, and he's playing good.
He's in, right?
He's playing great. He can get his own shot. He's kind of instant offense off the bench. The problem is when Fox and Castle are playing good, it's like they're forcing minutes for Harper just because he's their big prospect, second pick guy from this draft. And I think in the playoffs, one of those 3 guys is going to get their minutes cut, and I have a feeling it'll probably be Harper because in the playoffs you ride your starters a little more, and right now Harper's playing about 22 minutes a game. I wouldn't be surprised if in the playoffs he's down to about 15, but we'll see how that goes because there's moments out there where he looks pretty complete offensively, and honestly, if he was on a different team this year and a team not as well put together as the Spurs, he might be averaging 20 points a game. But it's a true matchup of Goliaths if that's the matchup in the 3rd round. And if you're OKC, you're just hoping that Denver can pull out one more against the Spurs. I mean, the Spurs are playing Philly right now. You're hoping Philly can do it. You're hoping Denver can do it because then.
And Embiid is still out, right? He was out the other day.
Yeah.
It's just Maxey and George right now, I think.
Okay, well, if you're the Spurs, you need to take advantage of that, and you need to go get that game because you're nipping at the heels of OKC, but it looks like you're going to have the second best record. So I said the Spurs can beat them, and also my dark horse team in the East, I think the Celtics, if they're fully healthy and playing together, I think they'd be underdogs, but they'd have a chance against the Thunder, and they might not even be underdogs against the Spurs. I think that's a 50-50 series.
All right, so Matthew, on top of the OKC winning, right? The concerning thing for that game, even though it was against Utah, right, is that the other team is what that game showed, right? So OKC, they don't. It just shows you that they don't need SGA to go like scorch earth on you, right? To torch you. The second unit has the third best net rating of any bench group in the league this season. So when SGA gets going and the bench is clicking like it did Sunday, the margin of victory isn't even competitive, right? The one real question mark is how they handle Boston's switching scheme, like you mentioned, right? Instead of fighting over or under a screen, defenders just swap assignments. Bigs switch to guards, guards into bigs, and wings into anybody, right? And because that's the only blueprint anyone's used to slow them down this season.
Well, Boston's not Utah. They're not going to be putting up 146 on Boston. That's a real series. And to our earlier point about the Pistons without Cade, the Pistons without Cade lost to the Magic tonight. So, I mean, if that's the trend.
Oh, my God. Who loses to the Magic?
Exactly.
They must have sat down all their starters. They must have just put the bench in. There's no way that Detroit lost to the Magic.
They did. And your boy, Danish Jenkins, 5 turnovers. And so, if Detroit.
Listen, everybody's entitled to a bad night, right? An off night. It's just one of those things.
All right, Danis, come on the show and come talk about your off night. We'd love to have you. But if Detroit's going to be playing like that, losing to the Magic, then you have a very high likelihood that the team that comes out of the East is Boston. So if you think Boston's the team that's going to give OKC some trouble with their defense, well, I'm telling you that if the Pistons and Mr. Danish Jenkins are losing to Orlando, I'm telling you there's a good chance that that's going to be the representative for the East in June. So if that's the team you don't want to see, well, then too bad, because that's looking more and more likely that that's the team that's going to do it. And you don't want to judge a team too much on regular season success. But with the Celtics, that's a team that's already been there. It's a team that's already climbed that mountain, where if you look at who else is in the East, the Pistons haven't taken their playoff licks. The Knicks have taken their licks, but they've probably got a few more licks to go before they're ready to scale that mountain, if ever. So I think a Boston team with Tatum and Brown, I mean, that's like your obvious choice to come out of the East.
Right. All right. So, man, that was it for just those particular topics tonight. So what me and Matthew are going to have now, we're going to have what's called a debate topics, right? So, and Matthew didn't even know about this, right? He only knew about those right here. But now we got 2 debate topics we're going to talk about, Matthew. Number 1, Steph Curry versus Magic Johnson. Who's the greatest point guard of all time? So this debate is buzzing right now after Anthony Edwards said publicly last month. He said, it's Steph Curry, bro. He's the greatest point guard of all time. I ain't tripping. Magic has 5 rings to Steph's 4, but Curry has more all-NBA selections, a higher scoring average, and revolutionized the entire game. So, Matthew, when it's all said and done, Steph or Magic?
I think you got to go Magic. I mean, Anthony Edwards plays against Steph, so, he probably admires Steph in a way. Steph's of his generation. Anthony Edwards is like a young guy, like 24, 25. I want to say 24. So, Steph's been like one of the dominant figures of his generation. But Magic Johnson, the 6'9", rebounding, dime dish, and point guard, leading his team deep into June every year, 5 championships. I think Magic is probably, when you think of a point guard, you think of a playmaker, and Magic is arguably the best playmaker of all time that, made players that were good, like Michael Cooper, that were good, like James Worthy, into great players because of the positions he was putting them in with his passes, and probably prolonged the career of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar by getting him so many easy looks at the rim with the dime dropping, where Where Steph Curry can drop a few dimes, like he can dish and drive and dish and dime and whatever
Uh-huh.
you want to call it, but he's the greatest shooter of all time, and I think this is so obvious. Now, a lot of his assists are like the opposite of like LeBron or Russ assists, where their gravity towards the basket opens it up for shooters. His gravity away from the basket and from the 3-point line, the way they have to run out at him, he can just dish it to an open guy next to him and hope that the open guy next to him isn't Draymond. So he gets a lot of like free assists by how great of a shooter he is. So I'm sure, and he's a smart player, so I'm sure the turnovers are low. I'm sure the assist to turnover ratio is pretty good, but great shooter, great all around player. Probably when it's all said and done, probably one of the 10 best. But I would rank Magic as a better point guard than him, and I would rank Magic as a better all time NBA player than him. And that's not even like considering like factoring in how. A lot of people thought the NBA was dying until like Magic and Bird reinvigorated it.
Yeah.
And so when you look at the whole picture like that, like what Magic meant for the game and how like he lit a fire under the game and got boys playing again. I think Magic probably by some distance, but of course, no disrespect to Curry, who is obviously the best shooter of all time.
All right, so let me frame it this way, right? That actually settles it for most people. So Magic won in an era where you needed a big to dominate, right? And he was essentially like 6'9" point guard playing like small forward and center in finals games. The versatility was unmatched, but Curry changed what basketball looks like at every level. High school, college, the NBA, in a way Magic never did. A 73-win unanimous MVP season alone is one of the greatest individual campaigns ever. So the honest answer is that the definition of greatest point guard depends entirely on whether you weigh team success, the individual peak, how high they got, or lasting impact. So there's really no wrong answer, which is exactly why this debate never dies.
But they're great in different ways. You could still assess Magic as the greatest point guard and still say Curry's shooting
in his era, or
no, of all time. But you could still and you also have to consider Magic that because of HIV that his career got cut short at the age of 31. Mm-hmm. So Magic probably had 4 or 5 more seasons to get all the awards and all the records and all of that he didn't get a chance to do. So I don't want to but even in the seasons he played, because remember, he's leaving the league after his age 31 season. And at that point, he's already a 4-time assist champ, 5-time NBA champ, 2-time steals champ, 3-time finals MVP, 3-time MVP. I mean, the accolades are insane. And he didn't play a full natural career. He probably played 10 years of what should have been a 15-year career. So for the or 12 years, I'm sorry, 12 years. And the accolades are insane. The eyeball test, just watching him play the games, is insane. The physical, like, being a 6'9" point guard, that's like the original triple-double machine, well, I guess not the original, because that'd be Oscar Robertson, but like the guy like before, like Russ and Jokic were doing it every night. Like Magic was that guy getting triple doubles. Now all the new guys have all passed him because it was a rarer thing at that time. But man, and then just looking at
so Matthew, a prime Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant versus a prime Lakers team with Magic, who will win?
Well, it's hard to compare eras in that way. I'm not, because the game has changed significantly.
Durant will lock up Magic Johnson.
Well, they're different positions, But here's the other thing I'll say. You said Steph revolutionized the game, which is true, but in some ways revolutionized it in a bad way, because I got to go to pickup and watch guys that shouldn't be shooting three-pointers shoot three-pointers the whole time. And I play big, so I'm always at the bucket calling for the ball, but they're just like, you
ain't never going to get it with the Steph Curry era. The bigs are dead. That's why Wemby has to bring the ball up and shoot threes for himself, because he ain't going to get it down low. He know the game changed.
And I can't shoot 3, so I can't play anymore. But let me add this. Because this is we're talking about the point guard debate, and this is for a point guard. And what is a point guard? What's the most important thing a point guard is supposed to do? create for their teammates,
Yep.
make their teammates around them better. From the 4 seasons in the playoffs, from 84 to 87, Magic averaged 14 assists a game. 14 assists a game. 84 playoffs, 14 assists. 85 playoffs, 15 assists. 86 playoffs, 15 assists. 87 playoffs, 12 assists. He led the league in playoff assists 5 times in his career. He averaged double-digit playoff assists 4, 8, 9 times in his career. I don't know that Curry's ever averaged double-digit assists, playoffs or regular season, because that's not his game. Magic's game was to be the GOAT point guard, and he was. And he is.
Okay. All right. No problem. All right. So we're going to hit debate number 2. And this is one that you're really going to love, Matthew. I'm telling y'all now, before I ask Matthew this, he's going to get excited as I'm asking this question. So multiple analysts and panels are debating this question right now, Matthew. Wemby at 22 is leading the league in blocks, winning his 3rd straight Defensive Player of the Month, averaging 26 and 4 blocks, and carrying the Spurs on a 57-win season. LeBron at 22 averaged 31 and 7. KD at 22 averaged 25 and 7. Neither was doing what Wemby is doing on the defensive end. So, Matthew, is Wemby already the most impactful 22-year-old we've ever seen?
I think I want to say yes. I mean, in terms of what he's doing, we're
talking about 22 years old.
Yes,
Keep that in mind. We're talking about 22-year-old.
And so what I would say before I say 22, I would say he's the most impactful of maybe any player at this point of their career, whether they're 21, 22, 23. But in terms of being 22, he happens to have some stiff competition because LeBron came into the league at like 18. So LeBron was already in year 4 in his age 22 season. And when you look at LeBron in his age 22 season, he averaged 27, 7, and 6, if I'm looking at the right one. And he took his team to the finals where they got whooped by the Spurs. But the idea that LeBron in his age 22 season took his team to the finals would be the only thing that gives me pause. Now, you talk about Kevin Durant in his age 22 season. Also, it says year 4, but I'm not sure about that. I'm doing the math on that. 88, 12, 22. Okay, well, Kevin Durant was in year 4 in his age 22 season, and he led the league in scoring at 28 points a game. So,
all right. So, but LeBron at 22 was already a top 5 player, but was considered a below average defender. KD at 22 was a pure scorer who hadn't developed his facilitating yet. And Wemby is averaging 26, 12, and 4 blocks, which would be historically dominant at any age. But he's doing that at 22 in his 3rd season while leading a 57-win team. So the counter argument, Matthew, is that the sample size is still small and the error matters, right? So the honest take here is that we've never seen a 22-year-old who is this impactful on both ends simultaneously, and that alone makes the debate legitimate.
We've never seen anybody like him ever. Anything. Right. 7'4" guy that can dribble, shoot the 3, scare guys out of the paint. But he has some really stiff competition from, KD led the league in scoring and went to the conference finals. LeBron was already one of the most well-rounded players in the league and took his team to the finals. So here's my verdict for you, Sean, because I know you probably thought I was going to say Wemby, but here's my final verdict for you is TBD. Let's see how he does in the playoffs. And depending on how he does in the playoffs, then let's come revisit this argument. Because if we look back and say, oh, yeah, Wemby was great in the regular season, but he got knocked out in the first round by Phoenix or Portland or whoever, then we maybe wouldn't want to call him the most impactful 22-year-old. But KD and LeBron both had great playoffs as 22-year-olds. So give me 2 months and I'll give you an answer.
All right, so there we have that section right there. That was 2 debates that we ended it with. But we do have one more thing we got to end with because we didn't do our comments the other day. So we do got to switch over. We say we would answer your comments. So let me click here and share the screen. We only got a few here that we're going to go over. All right, Matthew. So this the other day when we're talking about Luka was unstoppable, but Jalen Johnson did this instead. Well, that guy just said top notch. You learned that sound like a bot right there. So right here, Jalen Brown's Achilles changes everything for Boston, and they said they could still catch the Pistons. What you talking about, Willis?
Well, obviously he was wrong from 6 days ago because today didn't we just talk about that the Pistons just clinched? So I guess they couldn't.
Yep. Now next we have Big Deboat 23. Hey, stop talking about my Hawks. More people doubt us, the better we play. We ain't blank. Keep doubting us. Let me see what the reply was. Can I actually click on reply? Reply doesn't even open up. I don't know what that's supposed to say. What do you guys say about that? Stop talking about his Hawks, man.
Man, it's interesting.
People, the more y'all doubt them, the better they play.
Man, I was telling you, maybe they're all doing that because whenever we talk about the Hawks, it feels like their fans are always saying, oh, no, we're not that good. We're not as good as our record is lately. It seems like the Hawks are always like, I've just had in my head, the Hawks fans are always hating on themselves. And maybe Big Deb Pat, no. What's his name's Big Debo ATL. That's what it is. Although I think I see a P in there. Regardless, I think that maybe it's a strategy. Maybe they don't want to compliment their team because they think if they're too nice to them. It's like when you have a girlfriend that's maybe a little bit out of your league and you think, oh, well, I'm not going to reply to the text right away. I'm going to wait an hour or two. I'm going to let her know that I think I'm in the same level. Maybe Hawks fans are doing that kind of strategy for their team. I don't know. Right. Hard to say.
All right, I can't get the other one coming. I don't know what the other one says. All right, so here we talk about Pistons crushing it without the Starcade's return timeline. Dang, I thought Matthew was Luka for a quick second, bro. It's his doppelganger. So people think he look like Luka. You look more like Cooper Flagg to me.
You know, I used to get it all the time. I got a little chubby during the pandemic, and I guess it was at the same time that Luka was chubby. And when I dyed my hair blonde once upon a time, and when I was a little chubbier with the blonde hair, I got the Luka thing. Like, I got it maybe once or twice a week. I don't get it as much anymore, but I got it so often back in the day that I started, when people would say, oh, you look like somebody, I would say, oh, Luka. And then, now I don't get it. So now the last time somebody told me I look like somebody, they told me I looked like JD Vance. And I said, what the heck? I mean, that's crazy. Right. I'm not even getting into that one, but I've gotten the Luka one probably 10 to 15 times in my life.
I got it. All right. The other day, you remember when we talked about Draymond saying Wemby needs a miracle to beat SGA for the MVP? Ruji Eugenio 1550 said you are stupid on Wemby. Apparently we got a Wemby fan right there.
Ruji, more like Rudy, because he's being rude.
All right, and then also the same thing, the MVP race is over. Here's why Wemby can't catch SGA. Agreed. They often give it to the best player on the best team. This is Jadi Window 464. It's one of the officials for USA Boxing out of Louisiana. He said, agreed. They often give it to the best player on the best team. The Spurs dominated the Thunder this season, so the records don't really matter between the two teams. But the deciding factor to me is Jalen Brown saying, I'm the best two-way player in the game. Wemby is an alien, so he doesn't count. I'm the best human two-way player in the game.
That's an MVP candidate saying that Wemby don't count because he's so much different.
Right. That's true.
Shout out Jardine.
Yep. And the last one we got, would Larry Bird dominate in today's NBA, or would he be too slow? Jadi again. Bird would absolutely get 8 assists a game. He'd probably get more than that, not because of his court vision, which was elite, not because of his passing, which was elite, but because they're so liberal with what an assist is nowadays. What counts as assist today was never an assist in the 80s. Bird would average a triple-double easy. What do you think?
He's on to something for sure, because they are liberal with the assist, but I think they started in the 90s with John Stockton, because you see John Stockton throw it into Karl Malone. Karl Malone does a spin move, takes 3 steps, and does like 2 basketball moves before he gets to the basket. And you look at the stat sheet, assist for John Stockton. So if anybody ever benefited from liberal assists, it was John Stockton. We're going to do a boxing and basketball investigation, and we're going to go look at all of John Stockton's 16,000 assists. And I bet we're only going to find like 2,200 real assists in there.
Oh boy, Utah's coming after you. You talked about them tonight, talking about look who they played. Then you talked about the hometown hero, John Stockton. That man could be the mayor and governor of Utah. That's how much they love him.
Man, if they want to get at me, then I'll get Charlotte on them, because Charlotte, you know what Charlotte did to him.
Oh man, there you have it, Matthew. Once again, man, we thank you for coming out, joining us on a podcast. Listen, I want y'all to keep liking, keep subscribing, keep watching the videos. We're getting more and more hits every week. As you see, we're flooding the market, man. We're giving you at least 2 videos a day for you to comment, debate us, whether you agree or don't agree. Man, just keep dropping it. Just make sure you like us so we can just move up the algorithm. So, man, we're going to take over Joe Rogan. We're taking over Stephen A. Smith. Who else can we take over? Theo Vaughn, and he don't even do sports. We're taking over everybody. Matthew,
Man,
what do you want to say to the people?
I would just say that if you leave a comment and it's not nice, you got to leave your Google Maps directions to your house so I can come pay you a visit.
There you have it. Until next time, make sure you check us out next week. We are signing